Good Monday morning, Jaguars. It is me, Mr. Krieger, and I am here with my very good friend, Marianne. Wave to the camera, Marianne. And I've invited Marianne to come in and speak with us because she has done the second podcast at Jefferson Elementary. And I know her classes listen to it, and many other classes are starting to listen to the podcast. But to kind of help us all understand what's going on with the podcast, I've got some questions, and Marianne is kind of like one of our experts on it. So, Marianne, what is a podcast?
It's an audio that you can listen to. It talks about many things, like it can relieve stress, and some more like methods that you can do. Some can teach you how to bake, or you can just go on YouTube. But there's many things that you can do or listen to on a podcast.
And that is awesome. And you did a podcast. What was yours on?
A poem.
That you wrote yourself.
Yes.
What was the poem about?
A snowflake that was only one snowflake left, and the rest melted because spring was coming around.
So it was it about kind of like how the snowflake was feeling and all of that? Or not?
Kinda.
See, I haven't listened to it yet. I listened to our first podcast, but I have not yet listened to your podcast, Marianne. But everybody at Jefferson can listen to the podcast. Who else could listen to the podcast? I just learned this, or maybe I just realized it.
Parents, some people all over around the world.
Anybody in the world can
Yes.
listen to this podcast. They have access to it. And the podcasts and the ones that are read by kids, it's kind of with our culture of writing. So what step of the writing process did you have to go all the way through in order for this to be read?
First, we did a rough draft, and then we got edit,
Mm-hmm.
and then we typed it up on the computer, and then we printed it.
And that printing it, do you remember what that's called? Because you took this through all 6 steps, all the way up to publishing.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're a published author that has read your snowflake poem on a podcast that is available to anyone in the world.
Yes.
That is pretty neat. Congratulations. Do you want to add anything more before we get to some birthdays?
Nope.
Well, then we're going to go right to some birthdays, Jaguars. I looked ahead. There are a number of birthdays. 3 of them happened yesterday. Mia Pita Valise in Mrs. Colloy's class had her 6th birthday yesterday. Renee Musling in Mr. Castor's class turned 8 yesterday. And Asami Brown in Mrs. O's and Mrs. Lavelle's class turned 5 yesterday. Today, in Mrs. Fisher's class, Donovan Kirchner is having a birthday. And I think Donovan is right here. And what do you say?
Hey, that's me.
That's him right there. Happy birthday today, Donovan. Grayson Appleby tomorrow is having a birthday. He's going to turn 7 in Mr. Halverson's class. And Kalia Ireland is having a birthday on Wednesday in Mrs. Booth's class. And also on Wednesday, Genesis Avila Conte is having a birthday in Miss O's and Miss Lavelle's class. She is turning 5. A look ahead at the calendar reveals the same thing that we had this week. Well, I don't know. Maybe not the snow days next week or this week. But we got to see about that. But just a lot of instruction, a lot of great learning. So keep trying and persevering, doing the best that you can. And the one last thing, Marianne, that your class, Miss Fisher's class, wants us to remind about this week is that 2 wrongs don't make a right. And that is something that I've heard for a long time, and something that stays true for a very, very long time. To do what's right. 2 wrongs don't make a right. That is all we have for today, Jaguars. I'll see you around the school, and have a great week. Goodbye.